So last summer I cut down a crepe myrtle tree and ended up with 2 logs coming out of it. Here's one of those sections of log here, and the other piece I've already cut a bowl out of that trunk. And so you can look at it as I'm going to carve a bowl from a trunk, or there's a bowl inside of there, and I'm just going to remove all the extra wood. But I'll show you the process. This is not something I've ever done before, but got it done in the end. So this is a live crepe myrtle tree in my yard. They get flowers in a few weeks, but many times there's a bunch of smaller trunks coming up like this one. In the case of the one I cut down to make the bowl, there was one large trunk coming up that split about 8 feet off the ground. So this is a before shot of the log that I turned into a bowl. It's got a crack running down the top of it there. It actually sits pretty flat. It branched off into 3 large branches at this end. So this was from about 3 feet off the ground to about 6 feet off the ground. So it's just been laying in the driveway for about a year, and you can see there's a split running there. Splits will normally happen around the pith. So whenever you cut something out, it's a good idea to try to get rid of the pith. And then even if you do that, sometimes after you've removed wood, some of the internal stresses of the trunk will crack it even more. So it's a major concern that cracks happen after I do carving for this project. And it's only been sitting in the driveway about a year. It hasn't even been covered up. So it's definitely not a dry piece of wood that I was carving into. Well, it's time to make some sawdust. Basic idea here is get a big chunk out of the middle of that log and hopefully remove most of the pith. This is a shot of the equipment I'm using. I've got a chainsaw, an angle grinder, and I got a variety kit on Amazon that had different types of carving and sanding discs. Ended up using all types of equipment. Ended up with these little small carving tools, cutting some of the bumps away. Ended up using these dental picks to kind of pick out from some of these cracks that are in the wood.
Had attachments for the drill like this. Ran into a big problem with this where the if ever the rubber hit the wood, it would leave black spots and black marks all over it. Didn't really use this any. It was too long and really unstable and wobbly. Used this one quite a bit. It has a Velcro part, and then you can put on these new sandpaper things. So this was pretty good, but once again, it was good for doing this part here, but when you tried to do the edge, you couldn't really get it flat on there. So getting access to a tool in the right direction was a problem for the whole job. There's still spots that I wish were sanded better, but at some point you got to decide that you're done. And I'm about at that spot. So something you learn when you're cutting with this is in one corner it'll knock the grain down and cut it smooth, and the corner on the other side it'll raise up the grain and make a real jagged piece. And I don't know if there's a way to change the tilt, but I did not figure it out, and you end up with like a smooth edge here, rough here, and very rough over here. Also, the shape of the tool makes it so you can't really get it in at the spots you want it. And by the way, I would never have done this on my lap. I had it on the workbench when I was doing this. But it's definitely tricky, and there's definitely spots that are easier and spots that are tougher. So I also had these sanding discs, and a disadvantage of this is sometimes, I don't know if it was burning the wood or just putting some type of material on it, but it was leaving like black scuff marks all over the place. And so you could smooth out some bumps, but then you had to sand off the black marks that were on top of everything.
Just use a little bit of butcher block oil to finish this. So here's a shot of the final product. Pretty happy with it overall. I like how large it is. I think it looks impressive up on the table. One disadvantage of it being that large is you need a lot of stuff to fill it. Thought we had a bunch of shells, but poured them in and it just covered the bottom of the bowl basically. I guess I need to head to the beach and get some more shells. Thanks for tuning in. Smash that like button for me, please.